Look at the Carolina Panthers from their first preseason game till now. We saw a lot of this. Obviously, we saw the starters play, the ones that were healthy in that first preseason game. Saw them play about 2 series each. About 12, 13 snaps roughly for each side of the football, which is what Dave Canales wanted to do. He wanted somewhere in that 8 to 12 range. And he did speak yesterday and also even after that game on Friday about he wants to see the starters maybe come back out for a third series. Again, depending on how many snaps. Also just depending on how guys are feeling today after yesterday's joint practice with the Houston Texans. Generally in those joint practices, the starters are going to get the lion's share of the reps because you're trying to get those guys prepared and ready for the season. So depending on how guys are feeling, and also Dave Canales has to make a decision as well, is that their final preseason game against Pittsburgh next week, how much do you want to balance and weigh in, okay, it's a little bit of a shorter week. You got to go from Saturday to Thursday. It's a shorter week. So that's all things you have to take into consideration. But there are 3 names, Max, 3 guys that I want to see get a little bit more involved this week. The first one, tight end Tavian Sanders. From what I saw, the times I got a chance to go to training camp, the mini camp and back in the summer as well, training camp, the times I got to see him at the Fan Fest, I even went to the first preseason game, so I went to all this stuff in person, and you can really, truly see how he transformed his body. He talked about a week or so ago how last season he played at about 255 pounds, which is still a big guy. I mean, he wasn't like fat by any means or like overweight or out of shape. That's just what his size was. That's what he played at last year. This offseason, he actually shed down to 238 pounds. And you can physically see it just in person with the quickness with his route running, how he's able to come in and out of breaks. And this guy is a natural pass catcher in the sense of this guy is a playmaking tight end, or at least has that potential. We saw that at different stretches, especially in the middle portion of the season last year when Tommy Tremble was dealing with some injuries. But then against Kansas City, we saw Tavian Sanders have a neck injury. He got upended, just landed on his head, had a neck injury. Thankfully, he was all right, but he missed a couple of weeks and just really wasn't the same in terms of his contributions after that point. But he got himself healthy. Actually, a big influence on that was the former tight end Jordan Matthews, who actually was a wide receiver initially in his career, was part of the practice squad mostly last year for the Carolina Panthers, who had moved to tight end, really taught him and coached him up on how to take care of his body, how to eat properly, and all those things. And you saw the body transformation. I'm hoping with more reps for the offense that we see Tavian Sanders get his hands on the ball with a couple targets coming his way. Just didn't have any targets just come his direction. So I would like to see him get involved a little bit more. As much as we want to spread the love out to all the wide receivers, I would like to see Tavian Sanders get involved in the passing game as well, because I think he could really be a vital piece, especially in the middle of the field. He's a tremendous athlete. And again, we saw the playmaking ability at flashing points last year. So I'd like to see him get a little bit more involved. And speaking of the wide receivers, that second player I'd like to see involved. It's not all offense, by the way. I got two offensive players and 1 defensive player. Xavier Legette. Let's not forget, he got booted out of the game on Friday last week. Only played about 5 or 6 snaps. I want to see him get his hands on the ball. This is a guy last year who, let's call it what it was, for the 32nd overall pick, had a disappointing season. He had a disappointing season last year. Under 500 yards. Now, he, again, dealt with a foot injury last year, had a little bit of a lingering wrist injury as well, so he really wasn't 100%. And then when they traded Deontay Johnson, they tried to make him an X receiver, which is someone that really plays on the line of scrimmage. His strength is being able to catch and run, yards after the catch. The foot is healthier after having a procedure this offseason. It seems like, from what I've seen in person, that he's catching the ball more naturally with his hands as opposed to trapping it to his body. His big thing is underneath crossing routes where he can catch and run, where hopefully Tedderell, McMillan, or even Tavian Sanders can open up space for him in the middle of the field if they can take linebackers and safeties away. Well, and guess what? Underneath, this is where Xavier Legette, with his 4.39 speed and his 6'1" and 227-pound frame, running at that 4.39, 4.4, can catch and move and get his body upfield and get the yards after the catch. That's what we want to see from Xavier Legette. That's what I want to see, at least. when he's made some of his big plays in practice, it's been those kinds of plays. I just need you to stay on the field. I want to see him actually get the ball in his hands. This is a big year for Xavier Legette. As much as we want to put on Tepper McMillan being that 8th overall pick about what he can provide to the wide receiving core, XL, man, it's a big year for you. Because I guarantee you, Hunter Renfrow coming for playing time. Jalen Coker coming for playing time. Let's not forget, Jalen Coker caught a touchdown last week because you got kicked out of the game. And because Tepper McMillan dropped a pass earlier. Literally the play before that should have been a touchdown. Jalen Coker took advantage of his opportunities. We see it. Coaches see it too. So XL, I want to see him get involved offensively a little bit more as well. I'd like to see these guys, again, Tavian Sanders, Xavier Legette, 2 or 3 targets each coming for those guys. For sure. And the final one, Merrick. Merrick, when I was able to get to camp, whether it's training camp, mini camp, especially at mini camp. Now, granted, they weren't playing with pads in mini camp back in the summertime. Mini camp's back in June. But I saw his knack for reading running plays and getting up towards the line of scrimmage to make tackles. Now, granted, you're not actually hitting during those sessions, but still, it's the read and reaction. I want to see more of that from him this second week. Because, again, new system for him, new teammates, new environment. You got the first game or first snaps and series out of the way last week against Cleveland. All right, now you're going against Houston. Let's see it a little bit more this week. He signed a big free agent contract this offseason, 3 years, $51 million. Merrick actually did speak to the media yesterday. And one of the things that's going to help him in the run game is that interior defensive line for the Carolina Panthers, which has been bolstered this offseason. Derrick Brown coming back from his injury, but the signings of Bobby Brown III, the signings of Tershawn Wharton, the drafting of Cam Jackson, they really did beef up the front of that line. And Merrick actually gave some praise yesterday to the defensive front.
Yeah, man, they put pressure on that quarterback, so it makes, the lives of the DBs on the back end easier. Having pressure, messing with his accuracy, messing up the timing, that all plays a big role into how DBs can cover and do that kind of stuff. So
it also is important for these guys being Merrick and the defense as a whole, is to face guys of high caliber on other teams. As much as, much praise and stuff as for Shedeur Sanders was in week 1, Shedeur Sanders was 3 of 7 for 30 yards against the Carolina Panthers starters. But the fact that you could go against a guy, the high caliber player like C.J. Stroud, who was the offensive rookie of the year back in 2023 in the NFL, it's nice to be able to get reps against those guys, and that's exactly what Merrick talked about yesterday.
No, it's always great work. I think anytime you can go up against another team in practice, it's always going to be great work because it's not something you see, every day when you're going against your own team. So to have a guy like that, he's very good, like you said, and, we'll have some things to look at the tape and get better at, but it was good competing against him.
I want to see Merrick get involved a little bit more, whether it's even in the passing game as well. If he's marking up on a tight end, get his hands on the ball or come up to the line of scrimmage and make a couple tackles, whatever it might be. I just want to see him get involved for sure. And I think he is someone that can help, believe it or not, even as a safety, help stabilize the run game a little bit, or the run defense, I should say, for the Carolina Panthers, because if the guys up front are eating up blockers, you're a little bit thin when it comes to inside linebacker with Christian Roseboom and Trevin Wallace and a bunch of unknowns behind him. That guy is someone that can come up in the box and help make plays towards the line of scrimmage as well. So those are 3 guys I'm looking forward to seeing for the Carolina Panthers tomorrow.